All right, so let's get more practice with this idea of slope. So here's my reminder here for this video, okay? Slope is written in a fraction form, although sometimes it isn't written as a fraction form like C. So we're going to look at that one in a second here, but um, it's always written in a fraction form. The top number tells you up or down, and the bottom number tells you right or left. Why is that the case? Because up or down is your y values. Remember, that's your, y in the sky, right? Your y-axis, your y variables are up and down. So the top number tells you whether you're supposed to go up or down in the pattern. Remember, slope is a pattern. The bottom number tells you right or left, right? So you can think of X marks the spot on the ground. The ground is the horizontal axis to like the horizon, right? So it tells you where your X values go. How do you get from one point to the next in terms of right or left? So it's basically the slope is like a roadmap, all right? It tells you how to get from one point to the next. It's a pattern. Let's take a look at how we can figure out how to plot points given the slope, all right? So it says graph each of the following using its slope, label with its equations. We're going to take a look at these. I'm going to do A and C, and then you're going to do B and D on your own. So let's look at A. A says y equals 1/3 x. Well, first of all, this is written in the same type of equation as a proportional relationship. Because remember, proportional relationships are that y equals kx, right? So what is the k in the case of A? It's 1/3, right? So we know that if it's written in that form, we start at 0, 0. So I can automatically start at 0, 0. And actually, all of these are going to start at 0, 0. Okay? So because they're all written in that same form, that y equals kx. All right? So I'm going to use a different color for each line. Hopefully that gives us a better, because we're going to have to graph them all in the same thing. So it's going to look crazy. All right, so I'm going to start A. A is going to be this purple color or pink color. All right, 1/3 x. So what does that mean? Well, the top number tells me my y values, remember? And the bottom number tells me my x values. Okay, so we're just going to follow the pattern. Follow the pattern. You're going to hear me say this a ton. Slope is just a pattern. Follow the pattern. Okay, so we're going to start from 0, 0. The top number tells me up or down. Well, the top number tells me +1. Does that tell me to go up 1 or down 1? I think up 1. So I'm going to go up 1, and I'm going to make just a line to kind of show where I'm going with this. Okay. So I'm going up 1. All right. That's kind of hard to see. Let's make it a little bit thicker here so we can see that. Okay. Just because it's on the black line here, so it's a little bit. All right. That's better. All right, so I went up 1. The bottom number tells me +3. So the bottom number tells me right or left. Obviously, on the x axis, right is positive, so I'm going right 3. So here I go. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to stop. And there's where my next point is. Wherever I stop, I make a point. Okay, so there's my point there. Now I'm going to follow this pattern again. Remember, slope is a pattern. So here we go. Up 1. Whoops. Got to go back to my lines there. That looks gross. You guys know I like to have things as neat as possible. So definitely use the line under shapes. The insert line is way better than trying to do this by hand with the drawing tool. All right. There's another one. Also, let's see if I can make a nice circle for my point. I like that. That looks nice. That looks way better than these ugly points. All right, let's try that again. Again, just following a pattern, guys. Just following a pattern. Slope is a pattern. It just tells me how do I get from one point to the next. So there's my points. All right, I can fill them in now. Now that I have a nice point there, fill that one in too. Okay, so I'm almost done with this line, but I haven't actually created the line. So a common mistake here is to decide you're done here, and these triangles were your line. No, you need an actual line. So I'm going to make a line, and my line is going to connect all of these points. It's going to go through all of them and continue, okay, in that direction. and here is my line, guys. So this equation turned into this line. Now, basically, all I've done is figured out what my x and my y's are on this line, right? So this point here is like 3, 1. So does that make sense? If I put a 3 in for x, 1/3 times 3 is 1. So I should get a y value of 1. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So last thing they want you to do is label it. I'm going to get rid of these lines here because I don't need them anymore. They were just sort of my guidelines, but I don't need those anymore. And now I'm going to label it. So this was y equals 1/3 x. Okay, actually, I'll put that in an equation because I just like that better. Y equals 1/3 x. We want the x out there. Okay. All right. We got one down. All right, let's look at this next one, C. I guess we'll do the we'll do some neon for this. Okay. So first thing we should note is this is not a fraction, right? Let's zoom in here. This 4 is not a fraction, right? You're going to get that. You're going to get slopes that are given to you as positive numbers or negative numbers or whatever, but they're not fractions. How do we turn it into a fraction? Well, what's the one number that you can divide something by and it doesn't change it? Think about this. If I take 4 and divide it by 1, what do I get? 4. So this is telling me right here, this calculator is telling me 4 is equal to 4 over 1. 4 over 1 is equal to 4. So basically what I can do is I can take any whole number and put it over 1, and I'm able to turn it into a fraction. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a little slash here, and I'm going to put a 1. That tells me that my slope is 4 over 1. Perfect. So now that I know my slope, I'm able to figure out how to graph it. So let's go back. Okay, remember, top number tells me my y values. I'm still purple with that for some reason. Gotta get my colors straight. Hopefully you guys can see this green. It's a little bit challenging to see maybe, but bottom number, x values. Just to remind ourselves, right? So let's do this. I'm going to start at where? 0, 0, right? This equation is a y equals kx equation. That means that it's going to have 0, 0 as one of its points, right? Okay, so from here, I need to follow my rules. So my pattern says the y values go 4 in the positive direction. So 4 in the positive direction is up. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go up 4 now. Next thing, I'm going in the x values 1. So I'm going positive 1 in the x direction, which is right. And boom, my point is all the way up there. Let's make a point. There you go. All right, follow the pattern. Continue the pattern as far as you can on the graph. Okay, so up 4 and then right 1. And it looks like we're only going to be able to make 2 points, 2 more points besides the 0, 0, obviously, for this graph. Okay, so I have my 2 points here. I'm going to fill them in best I can. Those are looking pretty good, right? Way better than this one down here. Okay, so now I'm going to make my line, because remember, the last step when you're graphing is actually to make the line. You can't forget to make the line. Okay, I'm going through all the points. I'm extending it past the last point here. I'm not just stopping. Okay, so here we go. There's that line, and the last step, I just need to label it. So this is y equals 4x. Okay, guys. Now I'm just going to get rid of my little triangles here, because remember, those were just kind of to help me with my pattern, but they're not part of the line. If I get rid of them, then it's less busy on the screen, and now I have my 2 lines. All right, so we've graphed both of these, okay, A and C. You guys need to graph B and D on your own. Make sure you're following the patterns. The top numbers, the y values, bottom numbers, the x's. Good luck.